Hi, and thanks for tuning in. I wanted to remind you of our Road to 1,000 subscribers giveaway that we have going on our YouTube channel. If you subscribe and have a public profile, you'll be entered to win a free RX Smart Gear original jump rope. You'll get to pick the pattern of the handles, the color and weight of the cable, and you'll be getting one of the best-selling, best-performing jump ropes out there. Every time we hit a new century mark with the number of subscribers to our channel, we'll randomly select a new winner. And our friend Dave Newman is going to throw in a little something extra for each winner. So a special thanks to our sponsor, RX Smart Gear, to Dave Newman for being such a great partner, and to you for being a loyal listener. Good luck, and I hope you are our next winner.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. I wanted to talk to you about our new sponsor, Element 26. They are an innovative company producing lots of products around the CrossFit, strongman, powerlifting space. They have weightlifting belts, they have knee sleeves, they have thumb tape. They have these cool little straps that go around the bars when you're trying to attach a bar to the rig and maybe using it for low bar work, like pull-ups for little kids, or some modifications for like bar muscle ups when you're trying to teach someone to do them. And you know how you wrap those rubber bands around the rig and the J hook to kind of keep everything straight? Well, they've made straps for that. And they're straps kind of like the straps you use for rings. They have a really secure system on it, and you can wrap around the bar and keep that nice and secure. I love their innovation. Their product development team is top notch, and they're just coming up with really different ideas for our space. So check them out at element26.co. That's element26.co, and tell them Kat sent you. Love it, love it. All right, guys. So here we are. We are back with second time appearance for the Mr. Josh Hicks. How are you, Josh?
I'm good.
So remind everybody sort of what your role has been. Let's say West Coast Classic. That was the last time we sort of saw you in person. And we're going to talk about some new stuff that you've got going on that I'm really excited to share with everybody.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing more and more medical teams for different events. I guess the most recent one I just got done with was Rogue Invitational, which I saw Scott at, and it was it's probably one of the highlights of my year just because of the level of competition and the team that I have. It's a more intimate group of individuals. We don't have a vast number of people at that event, so everybody that's there is pretty heavily on the experienced side. So it's it's able to be a little more laid back. If you want to call a medical team laid back, that would be.
Can I ask you a quick question about that, Josh?
Yeah.
So you don't normally deal with strongmen.
No, that was new.
That gets thrown at you at this event. And what was that like?
Well, one of our more seasoned members, he actually wasn't able to make it to the Rogue Invitational because he's a paramedic like me, works two counties over from me. His ambulance was actually involved in a wreck and he broke his shoulder, so he wasn't able to make it. But he does strongman. And a lot of people don't know this because, my stature, I'm kind of built like a yard gnome, but I started CrossFit with Rob Orlando and CrossFit Strongman, and I did hybrid athletics, and I think it's just hybrid athletics now, but I believe at the time it was strongmanwad.com. So I was using a lot of Atlas stones and I was a little familiar with it. I've taken a step back from that, obviously, but my friend Strozier has stayed with it, and he is a staple of the med team. So I was able to reach out to him and speak to him directly and say, hey, is there any type of information that you might be able to put out here that we could adjust our treatment for these athletes? And he gave us a full spill of it. So something new that we did at the Invitational that I don't really have a whole lot of experience with, in between rounds or events, is oxygen administration. And those were some very, very large humans. So to feed that muscle takes a little extra oxygen. In between the events, they would take their own oxygen mask that we had set up for them. So it was a learn on the fly situation, but we're pretty used to doing that in the med team.
Was that a clinical situation? Like, were you actually taking their pulse ox and seeing that they were low, or was that just something that they're accustomed to having?
That's a great question. When they came to me with that, I it kind of took me back a little bit. And I asked them, do any of them have any type of clinical issues that would require them to have that? And, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, if they need oxygen, why are we competing on this level, Right. And, but it's something that they're accustomed to. They give extreme bursts of, you see a CrossFit athlete go 20 minutes into a workout and they're gasping, but they recover fairly quick. And then if you look at the amount of muscle tissue from Brian Shaw versus Patrick Vellner, that's a massive difference. So to get that caught up, it's basically to help flush new oxygen laden blood into the muscles to help kind of carry away the lactic acid. And they are more accustomed to it because they're higher level of competitions like the Arnold and stuff like that. They keep it available for them. So we just wanted them to be more at home with it, something that they were more, I wouldn't call it a clinical thing like anybody was dropping below 80% oxygen when they were walking 12 feet, but it was something that would help them perform at a higher level. Very and cool. I think not a lot of people, they had their world finals. I think it's what they call it. They had their world finals literally 2 weeks prior to the invitational. So a lot of these guys were still recovering from a CrossFit Games level competition. And then 2 weeks later doing this. So, they were already pretty beat up.
Yeah. And I learned too that they call it a contest. It's not a competition.
Yes.
Contest is the nomenclature that they use. We have to get used to all these new nuances.
Yeah. I'm learning as everybody else does as well. So
yeah. Okay. So that's your sort of normal gig. We know you're a paramedic for your real life. And then, at these events, you're heading up these medical teams to support the athletes in any way that they need support. But you've come up with this really cool educational piece that I'm personally very interested in for myself. And it seems like you've got all kinds of spokes coming out, on all sides to sort of figure this thing out. So tell us a little bit about, and tell me what it's called.
The Medic RX.
The Medic RX. So the Medic prescription. I love it. And it's an educational curriculum that you've created to teach people what?
So, I've looked at this over the past few years being involved with the CrossFit Games medical team and doing, different events like the regionals and would be another good invitational. And what I found was when I would go to these events, there would be other team leads for like the equipment crew or just people in general that were there working that were affiliate owners or coaches. And they would pull me to the side and ask me questions, hey, this is a great event. I see what you guys are doing. What if this happened in my affiliate? And that got me thinking, why has this not been addressed by CrossFit? If I feel like it's something that CrossFit wants out there because they want their level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, their certified trainers to have CPR and to have first aid. But there's not really a resource for it like you would, we had CrossFit gymnastics, CrossFit strongman. And I felt like it would be something that would be very beneficial across the board. It's something that it's a skill you could use not just inside the affiliate, but also outside in the real world. And it's a transferable skill. So I feel like a lot of times, and we've had some discussions like this within the med team, within the personnel of the med team that, we kind of take this for granted because we do this day in and day out, CPR, first aid, not that we want to, but we do it day in and day out. So we take it for granted that everybody knows it. And while everybody might be familiar with the concepts of it, nobody's really ever actually trained. And another thing that I feel like could be very beneficial to the affiliate atmosphere as a whole is that whenever one of these situations happens, whenever you have an emergency, whether it's from a hand tear to somebody falls and fractures an arm to an actual cardiac arrest, whenever you get into these situations, if you're at the gym and you're going through a CrossFit class and you miss your snatch or you're unable to transition over the rings into a muscle up, whenever this situation presents itself, the first person you look to control that situation or to help guide you is the coach. So I feel like everybody, all your coaching staff, anybody that's level 1 or all the way up to level 4, they're versed in this kind of training. But give them the situation where somebody falls into cardiac arrest, whether you're prepared or not, every single person in that class is going to be looking to you because you're the point of authority. So this is something the curriculum that I've been working on developing here, and the 2-day seminar layout that we've got is not only to give the knowledge, but to kind of give a little bit of a controlled environment expertise to it, so that people can get the experience before it happens. Because as we all know, if you have the knowledge, if the knowledge is there, if you develop it, it just having knowledge can take some of the fear out of that situation. And if you just are the calmest voice in the room, you have absolutely no idea how much that can help control a situation. And then, this entire thing breaks down into affiliate owners and coaches. You can get into a liability situation. Did this person do the most that they could do to create a more positive outcome for the person afflicted by the injury or cardiac arrest? And these are all questions that if you just go try to take a local CPR class, you're going to get a pretty generalized answer. But if you have people that not only do this for a living, but are very well versed in the CrossFit environment and work on a medical aspect for some of the biggest events that you watch, around the globe year round, for the CrossFit Games, Wodapalooza, all of these events, you can get a very, very, very specialized area, a niche, if you would, that I don't think you would get at a standard class. And we're also, we're going to be developing a first aid that leans a little more towards CrossFit side, which are, like hand tears. These things are things we're all familiar with. We're deeply familiar with. Box jump wounds. I mean, everybody's familiar with that. So, but how do we take care of it? How do we minimize scarring? How do you cut down on infection? But the biggest thing for an affiliate owner or coach, how do you decontaminate these surfaces once they've been affected by a body substance? And, everybody wants to spray bleach on it, but that doesn't necessarily do what you need to do. So why not have the people that do this professionally at these events train you on what we do there? And that's kind of the concept behind it, and the drive and where it came from.
Yeah. And I really like the fact that it's standardized, right? It's standardizing sort of these protocols with the sport and the methodology that we use for training, right? It's got that sort of in the background and within that context. Because you go and take a basic, life-saving course like your CPR and your first aid, and it's, some of the scenarios just aren't necessarily, the context of them don't make sense in the gym setting.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I really do like that. And I was actually interested or sort of surprised by the fact that we don't address any of this in the level 1 or the level 2 whatsoever. And it was only until I started studying for my level 3 did some of this stuff start to come up. A little bit about decontamination, a little bit about injury prevention, a little bit about medical waivers and things like that for your affiliate. But it's not until that level. And so many coaches, don't go for their level 3. They're the level 1, they're level 2, they're renewing every 5 years. So I think it's awesome that it's going to, hopefully become somewhat of a staple within the curriculum that people can just get your CEUs for your level 3, check that box and feel a lot more confident knowing that you're getting this training and it's within the lens of CrossFit.
Yes. And, that was one of the big things when I sat down. I have 3 or 4 people that I've been talking to for a while about this, and to name a few and not to drop names, but Todd Widman and Boz, Adrian, they've been a pretty big influence on me in doing this. Just their demeanor about things, and that they'll always reach out when we're at events and have me come and talk to some of the judging staff that are there, and we'll kind of go through what we expect if we're given a situation like this, and just that education that opened up that education right there. It's very informal and it's very quick, but whenever you are given this information from somebody who's very familiar with the atmosphere or what's going on right then in that area, kind of takes the edge out of it. So if you know what to expect, maybe it is an unknowable and unrecognizable situation sometimes, but if you have a laid out plan or at least a thought process moving that way and know that somebody else there is prepared for it, takes the edge off of it. So they've been instrumental in getting me the right contacts and letting me know how I needed to lay this out. And it's been very, very good. And somebody else that I've been reaching out to a lot that's been kind of guiding me down the right channels is Dale King. He owns Doc Spartan. He's an affiliate representative, and he's been a huge source of information just in laying this out. And I feel like I'm not saying that CrossFit didn't plan for this or anything. I felt like that the level of experience that myself and my team and some of the med team members have gained doing these events, it's pretty unique, and you can't get that in a classroom. And I found myself relaying this information in a very informal setting hundreds of times over every event. People just, hey man, can you come over here? I just had some questions for my affiliate when I get back home. And it'd be a member of the equipment team, or, it'd be somebody down on the judging staff in between events, just asking questions. And I kind of give them a rundown on what we do. And then they would say, you really need to kind of put this together. This would be great to have you kind of go through this with us. And I never really thought about it until I started talking to, Boz and Dale and Todd. And then that kind of really, it opened up the creative juices, if you want to call it that, got them flowing and got the thought process going. And I think this is the sum of, if you want it done right, do it yourself. I just had this plan, and I wanted to make sure that it followed the right method that I felt would relay the information in the most beneficial way to affiliate owners and coaches. And that's kind of where we ended up here. And there were some formalities that we've been working on for a little bit that are they're smoothing out right now. But I'm going through every aspect and every avenue that I can to make this as accredited and as official as possible. If you are familiar with CPR, there's AHA, the American Heart Association. They do a lot of CPR courses and classes. But in order to teach one of those classes, you have to be an AHA certified instructor, which is fine. I used to do that at a company that I worked for. And then you have to have somebody who has access to an AHA training center. That's where you organize these classes and set everything up. Once the class is organized, then when you pass, you get your certification through that course. And that process has been kind of difficult to get to with AHA, in that AHA looks to an area for how many training centers are in the area, so they don't get flooded with training centers. And they weren't really looking at that. I wanted to do this worldwide. I want to make this available worldwide and not just locally. And my area is pretty heavily doused in, that would be the term I would use. It's pretty heavily doused in AHA training centers. So I wasn't able to open that one, which was fine. It actually opened up another avenue. The American Safety and Health Institute, ASHI, they're also internationally recognized. So the Medic RX, I'm now a level 4 ASHI instructor, which will cover everything from bloodborne pathogens down to CPR, first aid, AED. I know a lot of affiliates have some AED stuff, and I want to make sure that they're getting training that's, that you might run into in an affiliate like that. But along with that, we're going to add in decontamination, and these certifications can come through ASHI. And now that I'm a level 4, we were able to, I was able to reach out to some resources I had at ASHI, and the Medic RX is now an official training center for ASHI, so we can control 100% of all of our classes and courses, and they're all accredited and licensed. So that's
awesome.
So just for some clarification, Josh, I don't want to assume too much. Is this going to be a recognized curriculum with CrossFit?
That's what we're going for right now. I actually, Boz sent me the correct email channels to go through with CrossFit training. So I'm in the process right now. I've been speaking with them over the past couple of weeks, and I'm doing a course or case study on it. And I've got some statistics I'm putting down there, things that I want to do, generalized layout for the seminar, all of this information. As you can tell, I like the sound of my own voice, so I'll talk to a wall, and I'll translate that into typing as well. So I'm able to get quite a decent amount of information put down on paper. So I'm hoping that I can have some discussions with them very soon, which I have been in discussions with CrossFit for a course like this for the greater part of a year. Opened up the first conversations with Eric Rosa. I actually talked to him at, was it West Coast? I talked to him at West Coast about this course. And of course, I'd talked to Boz and Todd, and everybody is super supportive of it. And, I really want it to succeed. I'm pretty passionate about it.
And you may not be to this point yet, but as you're talking about putting down stats and things like that, have you looked into the possibility of what it would do for insurance rates for affiliate owners to be certified in something like this up front?
So I have done a little bit of research, and the insurance platform for affiliates it's pretty varied. But yes, some of them, if their staff are all, I know that they get some companies, what was it? Hiscox Insurance. I think they, if you have an AED on site, that gives you a premium drop. If all of your staff are trained CPR and AED certified, that gives you a drop. And see, this entire thing came about, this entire thought process kind of got fast tracked for me because I was thinking in terms of COVID. Our affiliates, we just came out of I would probably classify this as the dark ages for any fitness center, but specifically CrossFit, very community based, and they took our community away. And I felt like if we had a course like this, you could present this to, municipalities or local governments. Hey, my staff is trained on this. We're trained not only on health and safety, but also on decontamination. And, that's one of the primary things that I wanted to push into it. That's where this came from, believe it or not CPR, but the decontamination, because I wanted our affiliate communities opened back up. And I felt like, what can I do personally that could benefit this? And this was it.
Yeah, I think that's gold right there. One, we're supposed to be the solution to a problem,
yeah,
and we don't want to be the cause of any problems. And so by just the decontamination alone, I mean, we prevent spread of different viruses, not just COVID.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And there's a whole lot of things in there that people don't think about. If you hear, and I don't want to go into too much detail, but if you hear hepatitis, everybody always thinks, ooh, gross, it's but there's 5 or 6 different types of it, and it can survive on so many different surfaces. And, you may be carrying it and not even realize it, and you skin your shin on a box, and then somebody goes and sits down on that and they have rope burn on their leg. Well, now they've been exposed. So I feel like decontamination can affect so much more than COVID. Think about flu season, or if you've got a kid's room and somebody has chicken pox. That kind of stuff is it's something that can be hugely beneficial in multiple areas.
Yeah. So what else? What are some of the other fun sort of ancillary tools that you're using to sort of bring all this together? We were talking before the podcast about, something you got going on YouTube, social media. Like, what are all the tentacles of this?
So right now we started out, I'm kind of ashamed to say it. All I really have going right now is a YouTube channel, an Instagram, and an email that is a Gmail. I've started a Shopify channel because we want to go into being able to set up some very specific first aid kits. And I can kind of go through my thought process on that momentarily. But I've been working on these different facets. The big thing is for the YouTube channel. I want to make sure that there's information that can be disseminated down that can kind of highlight what we can offer in the seminar for you, but also help the general public. If you already are a CPR, like let's say you're a paramedic like myself, you already have CPR, you already have first aid, you've already got these things, and you take you just want kind of a CrossFit spin on it, how this would be different in a CrossFit environment. Well, that's what I want the YouTube channel for. And I want to be able to break down certain scenarios and certain events that we might see on social media that happen in a CrossFit affiliate, and then break them down a little bit. So that's kind of the outlet for right now. But
yeah, I love it. And so is the curriculum completely written? I mean, minus any changes, obviously, that CrossFit might have for you to be, part of their toolkit.
Yeah. So the CPR portion, the first aid portion, the bloodborne pathogens, they are written through ASHI, but being a training center, I'm allowed to add certain very specific information, which we're working on tying into it now, so that it would be a very, very, very customized CPR, AED, first aid, and decontamination that is specific to CrossFit. Yes, you could use it outside. Yes, it's still going to be accredited, but I want to make sure that it is hugely beneficial to the affiliate communities at large.
So basically you can add to, but you can't cut away from what's there so that it remains certified through them, correct?
Correct. That is correct. And we'll, hold on just a second. I got the battery flash. Sorry. I thought I had it plugged up. I guess I didn't have it locked in all the way.
That's the second time in a week we've had that happen to us.
Yeah, I thought I had it kicked in the side there, but it just started flashing. So there's that unknown and unplannable situation. Just didn't involve blood or chest compressions. So yeah, so we're going to be adding some stuff to it specifically for CrossFit, which is the ultimate goal here. We want this to be a very affiliate minded and focused certification. Something that we're also adding into it is that most of your CPR certifications, most of your first aid, basic first aid, advanced first aid, any of this stuff, it goes out every 2 years. So what we want to do is make sure that people can take this cert at a very discounted rate so that they can keep up these credentials. And that's another use for the YouTube channel. We want to make sure that the YouTube channel, all this technology, all this information for CPR, first aid, things are changing daily. Technology changes things, and I want to make sure that this information, there's no reason that if there's a new type of bandage that becomes the staple of how we're going to fix hand tears, or how we're going to splint a dislocated wrist or something like that, it's going to become a staple. Well, you don't need to go retake this course if that is the only aspect. So we're going to use our social media. We're going to use the YouTube channel as an educational purpose for that. Something else that we're looking at doing is maybe reaching out and doing a shorter, maybe even an online seminar for Stop the Bleed class. There's a ton of different outlets here that are safety concern for most affiliates or coaches or even athletes at that matter, that these concerns I feel like they just need to be addressed. And that's kind of, where we're going with it. And yeah, I think that's pretty much where we're at on the curriculum. It's going to have a very, very heavy CrossFit feel to it. And there's going to be a whole lot of the area in this that's going to be very specific to the affiliate.
Have you been able to find volunteers to on purpose miss a box jump so that you can show this on a YouTube video?
I actually was thinking about talking to some games athletes, friends of mine, and see if they want to be victimized on the videos and on channels so that we can use them as a recognized face. But no, we're gonna. My goal is to actually be able to go to some affiliates and do some videos with some very recognized faces, just so that we can get the word out, that this is important, and the entire community, from games athletes all the way down to your 10-member gyms in a hometown, can benefit from this, and we all care about it. So that's kind of where we're at with it right now. But yeah. Are you volunteering to be one of the first?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, I've done that to myself enough times. I've hit my quota, and my doctor says no more loss of blood.
Okay. All right. That'll be fine. That'll be fine. I think this is a good point to note something that will be added in this. I'm trying to figure out a way if I can make it into the certification or if it'll just be an area that we touch on. And this is going to be pretty specific to coaches, especially affiliate owners. Being in 911, in the 911 atmosphere and being a paramedic, one of the most important things that you can do for a victim or somebody, a patient, somebody that's injured, is to get the correct information that we need when we show up in the ambulance. And I cannot tell you the number of times I've shown up on scene at a basketball game where a kid's fallen and he's broken his arm. And I walk up and I say, hey, does anybody have any information on this kid we're taking to the ER? And they say, yeah, his name is Johnny Smith and he's 12 years old and he's wearing one black sock, one pink sock, and he likes peanut butter and jelly. Well, that information does me literally no good at all. So what we want to do is develop an actual form that we'll have templates for to get, and I'm calling it in the layout for the course, like in the syllabus on our Instagram. You can get on the Instagram, the Medic RX, and you can see I've posted some pictures up of a syllabus of how we want to lay out each day. And there's an area in there that talks about expert transmission of information to emergency services. So we're going to take time to sit down with a class to break down the information that is pertinent to that situation and what we need to give it to the emergency personnel, because that information gathering can slow down a treatment process tremendously. And, I've worked cardiac arrest before where we've got somebody back and it's been a heart attack or, they've had some type of massive cardiac problem and we've got a pulse back on them and the person's still not quite with it enough to answer questions. And I give them, morphine to help treat this and they're allergic to morphine. Well, now I've got 5 new problems to deal with that if that information had been given to me to begin with, I have other things I can give that they're not allergic to. And that is a hugely beneficial thing that I think a lot of times is overlooked. And the reason that I put this into the curriculum is working events like Wadapalooza and working at the games and regionals. Even we've had some patients, some athletes that have been injured, and their treatment process for their injury was slowed down because the correct information wasn't given to the personnel, because we assumed that information had been gathered and it wasn't. So we're wanting to get rid of that and develop that knowledge, because if the knowledge is there, then you can speed up the process. And a lot of times in these injuries, and especially a cardiac arrest, time is muscle and muscle of the heart. And if you're not recovering that muscle from the heart, then the chances of them surviving drop. They decrease drastically over time. So we just want to speed that process up.
You mentioned a specific first aid kit that you want to try to put together. What does that look like?
So what we're looking at doing is developing three first aid kits, and we want to make sure that we can get them. I'm talking with a few companies right now. I won't go into detail about who they are yet, because we don't know who we're going to end up being able to use for this. But we want to keep the costs down so that it's easily accessible to the general public as well as affiliate owners and coaches. But we also want to have quality stuff, because the last thing you want is to have a tourniquet that you're needing and somebody's bleeding and you put it on and tighten it down and the windlass breaks and now it's just a shoestring. So we want to make sure that we have quality parts in there, and we're working on developing that. So being a SWAT medic, I had a lot of my officers carry what we would call an IFAK, IFAK, IFAK. That's an individualized first aid kit. Now, using that acronym, we're developing 3 treatment kits or first aid kits, and these kits are going to be based off of that one. So the IFAK will be changed to an AFAK, AFAK. That's an athlete first aid kit. So it'll be small enough as a utility that somebody could throw in their gym bag and it would be there. You're going to be able to treat basically yourself or one person with it, for a bleed, for a hand tear. We'll have some minor treatment stuff in it. The medium size up from that will be the CFAC. And if you think really hard, you can see how creative I got there. The coach's first aid kit. And that coach's first aid kit will be able to treat up to 3 people. We'll have one major treatment in there, like a tourniquet, something like that. We'll have a heavy treatment in there, but the rest of it will be your generalized treatments for people. We'll be going into some other stuff too, like a SAM splint and things like that with a bigger kit. But the CFAC, CFAK, the coach's first aid kit, should still be able to fit into a gym bag or maybe a locker. It'll be a little larger than the other one, but it'll be a utility that all coaches will pretty much want to have. The big one, we're going to call it the BA FAC. You can do with that acronym whatever you want, but we're going to call it the big affiliate first aid kit. And we're gonna do that, and it'll be able to treat up to 3 major injuries. Like we'll probably have 3 tourniquets in there, 3 SAM splints, 3 sling and swaths. We'll have 3 major things, and then there'll be enough to treat maybe 5 to 10 other injuries like hand tears, scrapes, stuff like that. We're going to have these available. We're trying to get them branded right now and figure out what would be the most economical way to do this. Again, this is about helping the community at large. It's not about getting rich. It's not about making something incredibly unique that is only going to be able to be purchased one place. But one of the primary purposes of these kits is not only do you buy it the one time and you can use it, that you should be able to access the materials that are in it quickly to replace them should you use them without having to buy a brand new kit. So that's the purpose behind it. And we just want to make sure that it's it's going to be beneficial and accessible to everybody.
Well, I'm glad you spelled that out because I thought you were cussing at me at first.
Yeah, well,
With
Yeah,
you,
I
you
like
never
I
know.
like having those kits available. I also think there's some opportunities, and I don't know if you've thought about it yet, for getting some affordable AEDs into people's facilities. I'm fortunate enough to have my insurance through RRG, and RRG actually offers a discount for affiliate owners to get an AED for about a little less than $1,000, which is a really good price because they're super expensive. And I know that probably the affiliate discount program, I'm going to butcher the acronym, but you know how they're creating some discounts for affiliates and stuff. There's some way you guys can join forces to get an AED on that, on that docket would be amazing. Because I think a lot of people understand the necessity for it, but just are not willing to spend the money on it for it to sit on the wall.
Yes. And, it's funny you bring that up. I have been thinking about lately. I knew that RRG had a process and I didn't know if it was a lease or a discount for an AED, but I thought about reaching out to them. I'm trying to get the channels down of who I need to speak with directly about it to offer a class, whether it's online or, we do a specific class for RRG 2 to 3 times a year. Maybe we do it at the games. Maybe we do it at Wadapalooza. But what we want to do with that is I want to make sure that it benefits everybody because they're giving you this piece of equipment, or you're spending $1,000 on a piece of equipment and there's no training to go behind it. So if we can't assume that a standard CPR class is going to give you the knowledge you need for a particular environment that, it's going into. An affiliate's a very specific environment, and there's a very specific situation that you're going to use this AED in. So why not train for it? So yes, I am in the process of trying to figure out who I need to talk to about that and who to reach out to, because I do want to make a specific AED course, whether it's online or whether we do an actual in-person, it would be a part of that. Or if somebody takes this course, it would be very specific and we will mention RRG about it and what they're doing. And maybe they can apply that towards their lease process or insurance premiums or whatever it might be. But yes.
Yeah. I love it. And it's meant to be an in-person course, I take it, correct?
Yes. We want to be, I have access right now to a lot of CPR mannequins. CPR, you can see 100 different TV shows and movies do CPR. Anybody that's done CPR can tell you that is not accurate. So these CPR mannequins that we do will give some, and I'm not going to put it out there right now because it needs to be a surprise and somebody needs to have that feeling, but they give a very specific tactile feedback for chest compressions that everybody needs to feel, and it needs to be explained to them. Because, you know, if somebody's injured or they go into a cardiac arrest, the last thing you want to do in your mind is cause more damage or injury to this person. But CPR by its nature is pretty barbaric to what it does to the body. And it needs to be in order to facilitate the change that'll keep somebody alive. So, and that's where I feel like, you know, there's going to be some very specific atmospheres and very specific body types inside of CrossFit that are going to change that a little bit. So it would be beneficial for somebody to know that before they get into it. Oh, well, I did this on a Teddy Ruxpin doll. Boy, I just dated myself, didn't I? Did it on this stiff teddy bear down here, and it doesn't feel anything like that. I must be going too hard, or I'm not going hard enough. And it's easier for somebody that has done it, somebody that's familiar with the area that they're working in, to go into this and explain what they're feeling and what this is going to be. So yes, it is designed to be a 2-day in-person course, and there's going to be a whole lot of hands-on, a whole lot of skills development in it, all the way down to first aid, bandaging, sling and swath. My design for this is to be very, very medically based, but founded in the CrossFit arena. So that's what we want.
Now, presumably, if this thing blows up, becomes, you know, accredited by CrossFit, and you get CEUs for your level 3, and it's something that, you know, affiliate owners are signing up for every weekend, you're clearly not cloning yourself. Is there a process for people to maybe get on board that have a medical background that maybe want to help you facilitate these sessions?
Yes, that's a great question. I'm glad that you ask it. So we're going to have, while I'm working on this, the seminars themselves and the layout and the structure, I've also been simultaneously working on an area for onboarding seminar staff. And we're going to lay this out so that it follows basically the same layout as like your level 1, level 2. So it'll be 3 instructors. And what we'll do with that one instructor is going to be the flow master that'll control everything. The flow master for these seminars will be a little different from your level 1s in that they will be one of the, I think we call them the elite instructors on my ASHI training center. And they'll be the ones that can actually issue you your certification, because your CPR card you can print out and carry in your wallet. It won't say CrossFit. It will be an actual accredited certification. So you can take that, and your flow master will be the one on day 2 that'll be inputting all of this if you're passing your tests, so that you have it by the end of the evening. So they'll have a lot more on their shoulders. I have within my medical team that goes and does these events with me, I have probably about 15 people who are already ASHI level 4 instructors. This resource is already here. And the reason that this seminar, this business, I guess, or the Medic RX actually came about is because we recognized a need for the community, and we already have the talent and experience to apply it. So all we needed was a layout and a structure for that to happen. And that's what we're working on now. So yes, obviously, if we end up in a situation where we're doing 3 to 4 seminars every weekend, I'm going to need more people. So what we're doing is we're going to be bringing people on with medical experience, whether that's an EMT, whether it's a nurse, whether it's a doctor, a physician that wants to get involved with this. And they will go through the same onboarding process with ASHI to get their level 4. They'll have to be observed teaching. So that would probably be a 4th person that will show up at some of these seminars, and we'll allow them to observe the first one, then probably teach a module, the second one, and then work their way into it from there, and they'll have to be approved. But the only difference being that I'm going to require that these people on board with the Medic RX, but they will also have to onboard with ASHI to keep our accreditation at the level that it wants, or that it requires. And that's what I want. I want, you know, honesty, professionalism, and integrity to be an entire community aspect to the actual seminar staff for this. So that's what we're working at right now.
Cool. Love it. Awesome. So I'm excited for you. I think this is a really neat endeavor. I know you and I have talked before about just some side hustle stuff that we've always kind of dreamt of cooking up, and this one's really rocking and rolling for you. So I'm happy for that, and wish you all the continued success. I want to get into some just personal details very quickly, because you were recently, when we saw you in West Coast, you were planning an engagement proposal thing. Talk about that a little bit, and now you're married.
Yeah. Well, I had wanted to, I'd wanted to ask my girlfriend, we'd been together for a while. I wanted to ask her a question everybody kind of comes to. And she was going to go to West Coast with me, but she had recently changed jobs. She's a nurse, and she wasn't approved for the time off to come work West Coast. So I wanted to take that event and make the question special. So I reached out to some friends that were there, games athletes, Noah Olson and his missus were kind enough to help me, as well as the Buttery Bros, Frazier and Sammy helped me, Nicole. I had a lot of people that stood out that wanted to help and wanted to make it special, but I didn't feel like it needed to all be that. So I used a lot of my med team members to help as well. And we went in different areas of the venue, and each one of the words in the question, somebody held a different sign for. And I put all that together in a little like presentation. And then 2 weeks later, when I was home, we had gone up on the lake with some friends, and I'd already arranged this, and I had the ring ready, and I had waited for her to come in and get on the boat, and I handed the phone to a friend of mine, and the entire goal of this was for her to say, "Hey, you got to check these pictures out Josh took from the West Coast. I don't think you've seen them," which she sees all my pictures, so she kind of knew something was up right then. So she went through it and saw that, and I caught her completely off guard. But yeah, it benefited well.
Awesome.
And obviously
Cool
she
story.
said yes.
Yeah. And your wedding was just a few weeks ago, wasn't it? Or a month ago?
Yeah, October, about a month. So
Okay.
we actually had an entire process planned out, and COVID ate that. Some things changed. We were going to go to Yosemite and elope, and that process kind of fell through. We ended up saying, you know what, we've got the time off already. We have the travel ready and laid out. Let's just find somewhere that we can go for the weekend and make this happen. I said, all right, that works for me. So we went to Florida, went to Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. Went down there. It was nice. It was warm. It was a great weekend, given that it was raining and frosting here in Tennessee. It was very nice to go down there. It was an adventure. Our flight got delayed. We missed the first rendezvous with the judge to do the process. So we kind of did a reverse honeymoon / elopement. Like our honeymoon came first. And then the next day that he was available was on a Monday that we were flying home. So we got up that morning. We went to the courthouse. We already had our paperwork and stuff done. We paid our fees. We did our little ceremony thing, said our vows, got done, and then boarded a plane and came home because our honeymoon had already happened. So yeah, it was kind of backwards, but it was fun, and it was just for us, and nobody else was there. It was just us, and it was a great weekend.
And I still have a bone to pick with you, because at Granite Games, you told me you were never getting married again. You were throwing me off the scent. I don't know why, but anyway.
Yeah.
Nobody knew it was coming, and that's what I wanted. I needed it to be, because as you can tell, I have a hard time keeping my mouth shut. So I figured if I just owned that, hey, no, this is never happening. No, I'm never doing it. Then I would. It would have to be a surprise at that point. And it worked.
Yeah, that's cool. Very cool. Well, you got a lot of exciting stuff going on, and really appreciate you taking the time to talk about it with us. Anything we can do to help you, get it out there, we'll certainly put the links in the show notes below on YouTube. and get people excited about it. And we'll just wait to hear, how things go and when your first seminar is going to happen.
I really appreciate the time, just getting it out there. I think, people, when they hear something like this, the devil's in the details. So the more I can get the details out like this, the better. So that's been a huge benefit. So I really appreciate your time. Both of you have been super supportive of everything I've ever done. So I can't say that enough, but thank you.
You're welcome, buddy.
You're welcome, man. You're one of the good ones.
Yep.
If you could just type that up and forward that in an email to me, it'd be great.
Oh, you got it. Have a great day, Josh. Thanks a lot.
We'll see you guys.
Bye, Josh.
Whoa!